This is a video for all my Pakistani women. One of the biggest social pandemics we deal with is the cowardice and the weakness of our Pakistani men in our community. Unfortunately, there's a reputation of Pakistani men, majority of the time, they're lying, they're cheating, they're collecting wives, they're not following the Quran and Sunnah, but they are the biggest ones with the biggest dialogues leaving their mouth of how they're the best Muslims on planet Earth. Now, speaking from experience, I have actively left and removed myself away, particularly from Pakistani men in my life, and includes family, that have more lip service than action in their life. You will find a lot of these Pakistani men these days of a particular generation, they are more than happy to break the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and drag the women of our community also down that route. Majority of the time, it's so they can gain what they need to gain out of a situation. That is one thing we have in our community that's quite commonly known, that Pakistani men are extremely mentally and emotionally selfish. They will do what they need to do to have their needs fulfilled, regardless of what it does to you, your mental health, your emotional health, and the result on your akhirah. So ladies, it's time for us to start being more smart. Pakistani women as well, majority of them are so weak and emotionally vulnerable. Oh, what am I going to do without him? How am I going to eat? How am I going to do this? So I'll just put up with the cheating, the abuse, the whatever it might be in your toxic relationship. Well, doesn't that go to show that a lot of Pakistani women that decide to stay in these toxic situations, you guys don't have much faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala either? Because our rizq, our safety, the course that our life will go down on planet Earth is all based on the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not your husband, not your boyfriend, not your father, none of them. And I know in our culture, they like to use snippets of Islam to reinforce their own rules because it makes them feel tough. So when they say men and women aren't equal, they'll use that as an excuse mid-conversation whilst you're trying to get your rights as a woman. The manipulation and the confusion we have in our culture needs to start breaking down. And without us women stepping up to the plate and saying, no, if there's lying, cheating, shirk, haram money, and lies and deceit surrounding this particular man, whether you're married or not. Okay, so if you're married, leave him. I don't think that I should mince my words in regards to this. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you the haqq to leave people behind who exhibit the traits in the list I've just said, I'm not promoting anything bad. If you are in an engagement situation and you're about to marry someone like this and you have doubts and you think, oh, but I've gone so far down the line now and, we'll make it work. Come out of the illusion that you are going to change a person after you get married. It never happens. If anything, they cement themselves into the behavior you accepted even more once you've tied the knot. Ladies, don't tie your lives to base. Men are supposed to be leaders. Men are supposed to have the household under control. Men are supposed to be so stable in the way that they are, that they automatically stabilize a woman who is naturally, by our fitrah, we are made with a cycle that kind of, keeps us emotionally up and down. So the last thing you want is a man in your life that contributes more to the turbulence of your emotional health. You should pick someone that is looking to stabilize your mental health, stabilize your home environment, ensure that you are mentally and emotionally respected inside the house and outside. So if you're with a coward of a Pakistani man who does cheat, does lie, is addicted to porn, can't stop hanging out with his male friends, doesn't spend enough time with his children. You are the one, as a woman, as a Muslim woman, you have to step up and make sure you don't accept this kind of behavior. Because whatever you accept, your children go on to create that. They create a framework from what they see subconsciously for the first 7 years. After that, they see the way that you live as a way of life. And they will adopt your same attitude or do the opposite and become so rebellious against you that in your old age, you're not going to have them to lean on, or they don't even respect you. So why would they be near you? It's time for Pakistani women to understand the haqq that has been given to them by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You as a Pakistani woman are not sentenced to ruin your life behind a man just because he's a man. Even Allah has a full list of things that men and women need to be in order for you to give them that respect. So come out of this dark shadow of Pakistani culture where we are told as women we need to learn how to crush and belittle ourselves in order to empower the Pakistani man. Excuse me, if a Pakistani man cannot empower himself, all he will do is leech off of the people around him. Leech off of the women around him. Use the people around him. And that is not the type of man you should be having children with. And if you have had children with a man like that, who basically keeps you miserable. And by the way, all these women out here that have this like resting bitch face, why do you think that is? Because they led a life of misery, lies and deceit. And they were either on the receiving end of it or they joined him in letting that happen. When you are around a toxic Pakistani man, you are ruining your life, you are ruining the mental health of your children, and you are putting the future ummah at risk.